A huge thanks to Storyblocks for sponsoring this video. The right hook can make or break your video ads on Meta. It's so important that for every single ad I test, I make sure to include 2 to 4 hook variations to make sure that I get it right. And the hook, simply put, is the first 1 to 3 seconds of your video ad creative. The right hook should help target your ad creative. It should help find your customers and entice them to continue watching on and eventually buy your product. Every single month, I do an analysis across ad accounts. And today I'm revealing the top 10 hooks that you need to be testing in your ad creative. So let's go ahead and dive in. We'll absolutely be diving into this table more in just a bit. The first one is actually something that I haven't seen a lot of advertisers talk about, which are hooks that mention family members. The reason why I think this works is because for some demographics, their family is the most important thing in their life, and they're going to be more likely to be convinced to buy something for their family, or because a family member was the person that struggled with this problem in the first place. So if you see in the ad comments or the reviews that your customers are leaving that they keep on bringing up certain family members or certain people close to them, I would really try putting that in the hook of your ad creative. Here are a few examples that you can steal and put into your next creative test. Now, number 2 is going to be hooks that mention a specific time period. And some variations that you could do with this is, oh, I struggled with this problem for this specific time period, or I used this product and that cured my problem in this specific time period. One of Ogilvy's golden rules is that the more specific you can be, the more that you're likely to stand out in the minds of your consumers, and therefore the more you're likely to sell. And I've found that by playing with this concept of time, especially when you're speaking to the amount of time in which someone might get results, especially if that's pretty quick, that can tend to lead to a winning ad creative. Now, I know I've only shown you a few of these ad hooks, but have you noticed what some of these have in common? Actually, when I put all of these into a table, I started to notice a really interesting trend, and I'll reveal that trend to you around hook number 7. I'm also going to provide a table so that you can screenshot all of these hook variation and options so that you can really quickly and easily just send it to your team and get them to make some more interesting hooks this week. Number 3 is huge. These are hooks that mention the specific demographic of your intended audience. The reason why this works so well is it actually helps with targeting your ad. A really easy way to step into this one is to start talking about age. I find this is actually incredibly necessary when you are targeting a 50+ demographic. Or you could also talk about other communities or aspired communities. Now, I know all the hooks that I'm talking about today are messaging based, but there are some imagery strategies that are super important. So I encourage you to mix and match some of these imagery strategies with a lot of the messaging ones. The imagery strategies that I see still converting in 2024 are things like using the green screen effect, utilizing bright colors when possible. I actually find, especially in the apparel industry, a lot of times the ad that becomes the creative winner is the ad that shows the pink dress, even though people are buying the black or beige option on the back end. It's really just about being able to stand out in social media feeds. It doesn't really indicate what people are actually buying. And of course, texture plays. I find that texture and playing with texture actually increases hook rates a lot, and it can be about the specific product, or it can be more of a metaphor of your product. And this is where Storyblocks comes in. They have a curated content library that has everything that you need to make ad creative that converts on Meta. And they have it all in one place. They have over 1 million 4K and HD videos, templates, music, sound effects, images, and much, much more. The reality is regardless if you are an agency or a brand, at some point you're going to need a stock video and sound effects solution. And the reason why I use Storyblocks with my clients is because it actually has the best videos on the market, especially when you want to combine that content with UGC. They constantly have new clips, so there's always something new to test with your ad creative. And also wildly important, anything that you download with Storyblocks is 100% royalty free. So you don't have to worry about licensing rights, even for ad creative. Number 2, you don't have to plan a video shoot, fumble with AI solutions, or get a creator to make a specific piece of content for you. It's all readily available. I can't tell you how many times I wanted to get a specific clip and I was able to find find it on Storyblocks instead of trying to do one of these other more cumbersome options, and it was instant. To get started with unlimited stock media downloads at one set price, head to storyblocks.com/DaraDenney or click the link in the description. All right, back to these hooks. Number 4, educational hooks. Now, a lot of times I go through brands' ad accounts and I realize that something they're missing is content from a more educational angle. Content that is more of a content first approach instead of trying to be direct response and go directly for the sell. I've actually found that for some brands, leaning more into educational based content and literally just starting their ad creative with how to can help unlock and convert newer pockets of audience, because this type of content is literally more top of funnel. Do you have something to teach your customers? Is there something that you wish your customers knew before discovering your brand or discovering your product? Or something you think they need to know before using it? That is the type of educational content all brands should be making. Number 5, regret hooks. I can't tell you how effective leaning into this idea of regretting something, or even just using that statement in the hook, I regret XYZ. Hook rates on more of these negative sentiments almost always outperform ones with a positive sentiment, which is why also for number 6, I have negative hooks, but I really do think that regret and more negative marketing is a little bit different. And I've seen so much success by just using the word regret. That's why I like to include both of these as options. But when thinking about negative marketing, this could be something like 3 reasons why to avoid XYZ, or 3 reasons why certain demographic hates this product. And number 7, I feel like this is a huge TikTok trend for a while, but I do still see it coming up in a lot of top performers, is simply using the phrase POV. POV statement here. Sometimes it's POV, taboo problem. Those are super effective, but maybe you don't have a taboo product. It could simply just be POV, using product to get certain solution. I've seen that be just as effective. So my little tip here is, if you found a hook that has performed really well for you in the past, simply just put POV in front of it to see if that increases the hook rates. Okay, and now is when I'm going to reveal the really interesting trend that a majority of these hooks have. And again, I feel like this might seem super obvious, but I think that for people that are just starting off, and it's also a great reminder for experts or veterans in this industry. But a majority of all of the hooks that I analyzed were either problem-oriented or they were product-oriented. So they were either detailing a problem or they were zooming in on a specific product already. And I think this is really interesting because inherently these two different ideas are targeting people at a different part of their marketing journey. The problem one is more upper funnel in theory and is going to have a more scalable, potentially, audience. And the other, the one that's focusing more on the product, in theory, those people should be more likely or easier to convert. And that's because they don't need to be convinced about the validity or value of your product. And I think sometimes taking a step back, if you're worried or confused about what types of hooks to test, in every single creative test that I do, I make sure, oh, maybe I have one that's more product oriented. Maybe I have one that's more problem oriented. I have a wild card in there, etc. Just to make sure that I have my bases covered. Another strategy that I use sometimes too when it comes to creative testing is I will zoom in on one of these, hook categories and create different formulations for each of these hook categories. So if I want to do negative marketing, I'll try 2 to 4 different types of negative hooks. I would suggest to maybe newer brands that are still really trying to figure out what is working for them, try the more scattered approach to see, okay, maybe I have a hook that's about product, maybe I have a hook that's problem, and then 2 or 3 other ones that you have high confidence in, so that you can get an understanding, okay, what is going to work here. And then when you have more of that understanding, then going deep on some of these other hook strategies to just get a little bit more granular. Hook number 8, or what I like to call superlative hooks. So these are really simple. This is going to be things like the world's best product, the strongest product. There's tons of different options for them. Again, this is speaking to someone who is more product aware. Maybe they are aware of your product, so this could be a good way to get some of those people that are more on the fence about why you're the better solution. And number 9 is what I like to call the twist the knife on the problem hooks. Sure, I could just say, hey, these are problem hooks, but we really want to dig in a little bit deeper to why these problems are so impactful. So simply saying something like, hey, do you hate this problem? Should we be scared of specific problem? It's really more about making that problem more emotional. And number 10, it's absolutely not revolutionary, but it still works, is public virality hooks. So saying something that went viral on TikTok or on social media, it's about facilitating that type of social proof. I've actually had a number of these product viral hooks be the thing that ended up scaling up brands pretty significantly, even though, again, it's not revolutionary, but it still works. And that's it. Be sure to let me know in the comments below which one of the ad hooks that you're going to be testing for your next creative test, and I'll see you next week.